Good evening, everyone. It is now 6:30, and we're going to start the June 24, 2025 City Council meeting. Can we all please stand for the pledge? Can we have the young people who are going to do the pledge this evening? We have Nyla Hall and Channing Barreau. Oh, and also looks like we have Gracie as well. Thank y'all. All right. Smile big for the camera. All right. Next, we'll have the invocation presented by Chaplain Hardy Overton. Please remain standing.
Let us bow our heads. Father, as we come before you right now, we come before you with gracious and giving you all the honor and all the glory. Father, we just ask that as you come into this meeting that we're having, Almighty God, that you allow your Holy Spirit to guide us and help us in decision making that needs to be done for the best interests of us, Lord. We just want to say thank you for your presence. We want to thank you for what you've done for us. And we give you all the honor and all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Chaplain Overton. Okay, at this point, Council will convene to executive session to discuss agenda items 4A through 4E, and Council Member Fossler is going to recuse herself from 4E. Oh, okay. Thank you, John. All right, so 4A, City Council should convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 to seek the advice of legal counsel regarding Visit Bastrop. Agenda item 4B, City Council shall convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.072 to seek advice of legal counsel to discuss and deliberate regarding the proposed sale of estate property located along Blakey Lane. 4C, City Council shall convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Local Government Code Section 551.07 and 551.072 and seek advice of legal counsel to discuss and deliberate regarding the proposed sale of real estate property located along Jasper Street. 4D, City Council shall convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and Section 551.072 to seek advice of legal counsel to discuss the implications of the City of Austin's Aquifer Storage and Recovery Project on the City of Bastrop's water supply. And 4E, City Council shall convene into a closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and Section 551.072 to seek advice of legal counsel to discuss the proposed development in North End Prairie. And that is the one Councilmember Fossler will recuse herself from. It is 6:34. All right, it is at 7:24 and we are back from executive session. So just want to add to the minutes and comments that I did recuse myself from item 4D, being that it involves my employer. So no action is taken on the executive session agenda items. On to agenda item 6, Mayor's Report. So that is my report. All right, y'all. So I had a pretty full week and a half from the time I got sworn in. My swearing in was June 12th, and I want to thank everyone that showed up for that. It was a pretty great time. Then Friday the 13th, Friday night, I attended the opening night for Sister Act at the Opera House. It was a very good show. And thank you for the Opera House staff for inviting me over. We got a chance to look at their upcoming renovations that they're going to do next door. Then let's see here. On the Tuesday, the 17th, I was able to attend the dedication to the changing of the post office to Billy Waugh, and I was allowed to introduce Congressman Michael McCall. That Wednesday, I had a meeting with an interview at KZI 88.7 radio station, and then later on that afternoon, I was able to sit with the youth with First National for the Banking Buddies, working on financial literacy and talking about entrepreneurship. That Thursday night, I was a panelist on the State of the Black Community Forum. Friday night, I attended the Juneteenth Gospel Festival, and of course, Saturday, I attended all the Juneteenth activities where I was fortunate enough to be the Grand Marshal. I was honored with that, and I appreciate the Juneteenth Committee for allowing me that privilege. So, thank you. All right, next is the council members' report. Councilmember Fossler.
Good evening, y'all. Yes, Juneteenth was awesome. That street dance is unparalleled to anything that happens in Bastrop. And next year is going to be the 40th celebration of Juneteenth. So it's always the third weekend in June, right? I know you'll talk about it. It's always the third weekend in June. So I'll let Councilmember Lowe talk about it. I wanted to thank you guys for appointing me to the CAPCOG for that random Saturday meeting. I know y'all were like, why are you calling a meeting on a Saturday? We were going to lose our seats if we didn't have an appointment before June 15th. And so myself and Gary Blake were appointed to CAPCOG. It is the Capital Area Council of Governments. It's for 10 counties, and we do regional planning and handle regional emergencies. And I'm really excited about it. We meet, I think it's quarterly, and I'll be reporting back to you. And I'm also on the Clean Air Commission with that appointment as well. So I'm super appreciative for that random Saturday meeting appointment, and I'll be reporting back to you on those. This Thursday evening is the world premiere of The Train. Let's see how loud it goes. The world premiere of Musician's Umbrella. It is very noteworthy, yes. Written and performed by talented young musicians at Cedar Creek High School under the guidance of Hannibal Lacumbe and Cedar Creek High School band director Dalton Davis. It is free. It is this Thursday at the Lost Pines Art Center from starting at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be incredible. I can guarantee that. And then also, I know we've got the Big Bang celebration, the fireworks, the city celebration coming up this Saturday. But if you're wanting to do something on actual 4th of July, Bastrop River Club is hosting live music and also fireworks that night from 7 to 9. They've only had a few things out there. Their clubhouse is open. So not only is this a community event with live music and fireworks, but they also want you to see they are open. They are a venue. They are rentable. And you can also, if you're having events, you can rent their chairs, tents, generators, lighting. They're in that business as well, so you can see everything they have to offer. And also, I wanted to say that I see many Master Gardener and Master Naturalists and Audubon and Bird City friends in the audience, and I wanted to thank you so much for all the nitty-gritty work you do in all of our parks, and especially here at City Hall. It has made such a difference to enter City Hall with that beautiful Mayor's Monarch Pledge demonstration garden out front, and the Purple Martin houses out back. Every door you come into City Hall is greeted with natural wonders, and we really, really appreciate it. It makes a big difference in my personal coming and going at City Hall and for everybody's as well. So thank you.
Councilmember Plunkett.
I trust the rest of the guys.
Councilmember Kirkland. Or
Thank you,
Mayor
Mayor.
Pro Tem Kirkland.
So since you're swearing in, I spent 10 days in Washington, D.C. I took my son there for his 16th birthday with my wife and just got back on Sunday evening and had some fabulous experiences. And it was a thrilling time to just get away and recharge a little bit. And I'm ready to get some work done.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Meyer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to ask everyone in the city, and you can be in the ETJ, we are taking applications for the boards and commissions, and that's up until August the 15th, and there are many positions that need to be filled. And if there's an interest you have or you don't have and you want to find out more about it, but I just compel everyone to please look at the vacancies that are going to come up, the holes, and think about maybe volunteering and getting involved, because that's the way that you find out everything going on. But it also builds our community, is what we need from you, because we are all in this together. So please, please, please go online up until August the 15th. You can feel it, and it'll make all your wildest dreams come true if you can be on a board or commission. It's amazing. And the other thing I want to remind you about is this coming Saturday, which is the 26th at 11 o'clock at the Museum Visitor Center. It's the National Day of the Cowboy. And it's a kickoff to our town, Bastrop's Homecoming and Rodeo, which is one of my favorite times of the year. And it's just kind of a kickoff for that. And it honors the legacy of cowboys, cowgirls, and vaqueros. So don't miss that at the museum, too, on Saturday.
Thank you. Councilmember Lowe.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good evening. On June 11th, we went to the Circuit of Americas. That was awesome. We got the view from the track tower, and that was pretty amazing. Some people really enjoyed that track tower. I know somebody sitting in the back didn't. But she's okay. She's all right. I don't want to pull you out that door, but I had to do it. The very next day, June 12th, I witnessed a truly historic moment for Bastrop, the swearing in of Ishmael Harris, the first black mayor. I was honored to be present for such a significant occasion, and it marks a new chapter for our community. 17th. Went also to Billy Wall's renaming of the post office. If you ever want a human life that looks like a movie, read about him, Billy Wall. I mean, you will be absolutely amazed by what he did and how old he did it till. So that's interesting. Also on the 17th, I had a productive visit with the fine folks at the park department. It was insightful to see the facility, learn about the operations, and discuss potential areas of need to support their vital work. So that was awesome. 19th of January, I was honored to be a panelist of the State of the Black Community discussions. The event was well attended, and the audience brought insightful questions and engaged in meaningful discussion. So a huge shout out to Gigi and Joseph for making that happen. Look forward to the next one. Then on June 20th, I got to swap my council hat for a musician hat. And I played with my band Chubby Knuckle Choir right here locally at Neighbors. We had an awesome turnout and a very responsive crowd. And I'm realizing this old man might need to scale back the 3-hour sets to 2. But either way, I'm looking forward to being back there soon. And finally, June 21st was a fantastic day. We celebrated the Bastrop Juneteenth parade. Had a great turnout. The parade led us to Fisherman's Park, also known as the Boat Docks, where the festival portion was held. There were vendors. The Bastrop Evening Lions Club painted bowls for an upcoming Empty Bowl project. Line dancing, just an overall good old school feeling of community. So in the evening also, the street dance was there. Miss Dre and 2-1 Soul played, and the place was packed. So a massive shout out to the Bastrop Juneteenth Committee for all their hard work. And it was the best celebration to date, and I'm already looking for the 40th anniversary next year. So Thank you all, and that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Lowe. All right, item 6C, City Manager's Report.
Well, they get to do all the fun stuff. Here's the rest of the stuff, as Paul Harvey used to say. So we do have a ribbon cutting for the bridge set for July 26th. If you have not gotten with the city secretary, please do so. It is like herding cats with y'all, please, and thank you. Water wells, water was flowing as of Monday, 6/16. We did have some SCADA hiccups over the weekend. Those have been repaired. Water is flowing. So quality of water drastically improved for the city of Bastrop. Blakey Lane, Old Austin Highway, we have design complete for Blakey. We have bid documents and design docs out for Old Austin Highway. We discussed the appraisal tonight. Staff will continue to work through that. It is our hope to go out for bid in August of this year to get construction started. On Monday, we had a charrette meeting for the wastewater treatment plant, the new membrane reuse plant that is anticipated to go at where the new treatment plant just went. And what I will bring to the council retreat will be a new Gantt chart, a new project chart, and a new project charter, which describes what the expectations are, etc. Streets. So currently we have engineering underway to design Water Farm, Linden, there's a portion of Mesquite, there's a portion of Hawthorne, and also Blakey, and as also described, that segment of Old Austin Highway. So a lot of road work to be started also in the fall of this year. Yes, I know school starts, and so we'll work through some of those headaches. Next is Parks and Quality of Life. You see the project boards. I am super, super beyond excited. We have some of our final numbers in. We're in final design. Again, I will await a project management timeline, but we are assuming we're going to go out for the bond sale in August, which means that'll be when we engage, and these projects are expected to be online before next summer. So that's super exciting. Budget and OpenGov, we continue to work through that, have also figured out the triggers for project management, so that will also be automated. So as you go through the budget and you go through each one of the projects individually, you'll be able to see where they are. Tomorrow is a very important workshop. It's called Community Health and Resource Management, also known as CHARM. It is super critical as we talk through drainage and begin to finalize and refine our drainage plans for the area. You're going to be able to put certain scenarios in, and you can see the impact to neighborhoods and specific streets and addresses. So very, very, very important. Also tomorrow at 7:30 here at City Hall is Sit with Sil. As Councilmember Meyer mentioned, board and commission applications are open. We do have to note the passing of longtime municipal judge Charlotte Hines. I'm going to skip ahead. She served for 10 years and 2009 to 2019. So the city sends its condolences and gives it gratitude for a life of service. City Council retreat, that's going to be held the 27th through the 28th. Brett Miles with Leadwell, also known as the author of 5 Voices, will be our facilitator for the first part of the session. We will discuss strategic planning and planning for success. Total cost, including the facilitator, $11,730. Bastrop assisted Rockport during its Hurricane Harvey, and we hosted them at the library. You can see the minutes there from 2017 in the mayor's report of Rockport being in our library. Rockport has a ribbon cutting of their city hall on Friday at 3:30 that is finally rebuilt after Harvey, and we will be present to participate in that as well. Any questions?
Councilmember Meyer.
Thank you. Just, Sylvia, on the number of the cost for the retreat of the $11,730, I think it would be good to clarify that each council member has a budget annually of $2,500, and that money comes out of our budget. So it's not an extra expense that we're taking out of the general fund. I just want the citizens to be aware that that comes out of our budgeted amount, so.
Yes, thank you. And additionally, the council has not had a retreat except under the days of Linda Umble in 2016. And so it's time. It's beyond time. Brett Miles with Leadwell, you guys would have all taken your test, so to speak. And my hope is that you're going to end up with better information on how to interact with each other, and then also how to interact with the public. So not that you need any help with the public, but there are just certain ways we process information, and when we know better, we do better. So.
Councilmember Plunkett. His light was on.
Yep.
Oh, and then, yeah, we got to switch the
Gotta
names
change the
around.
stickers, yep.
So, okay. Let's get on that.
So on the water treatment plant, can you remind me, there's a 30-day period of time, and he gets to, that we get to substantial completion at the end of the 30 days?
So we are not anywhere near substantial completion. That's because one of the pumps that's in is a temporary pump until the replacement pump comes in. And so we're not near that until the final, all of the final pieces are put in place.
But there is a 30-day period of time. Does that 30 days, it doesn't start until
Correct.
we
So
get
all
that?
the final pieces
Got
are
it,
in
okay.
place.
Okay. Well, my next question is less relevant then. But if we had a situation where we had to take it offline because of some failure, right, like we had this last weekend, would that reset the 30-day clock when they brought it back online, or would it just continue when they brought it back online?
It continues.
Okay.
So I'm hopeful that when they bring it online with the permanent motor and pumps, we don't have this issue again. The issue that we had was a SCADA issue. It's different.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Plunkett, do you have anything now? No, that's, sorry, Kirkland, I'm sorry, Fosler. Let me get this right.
We switched spots on you.
All right, I'm going to do it now.
I do have a question about the retreat and ways for the public to participate. Are we streaming it? I saw on Ishmael's post today that we are streaming it. I hadn't heard that before. What's the final word on are we streaming it or not?
So we are going to attempt to stream it, and as I explained today, it's going to be very difficult because it is in a workshop format. You guys will have maps and colors in front of you, sometimes very rudimentary, so your back will be turned to the camera. It may not be as perfect a stream as possible. We're going to endeavor to get all of the packet information out prior to the start of the retreat, all of the agenda documents that we can. It is pretty voluminous, what we'll be talking about. We're going to endeavor to get all of it out beforehand.
Okay, and then the agendas with specific times would be so helpful. I'm not sure what topics we're discussing on Friday and what topics on Saturday, but some citizens had asked for time-blocked agenda. Can we get it down to that?
I do not have that ability to do that because you guys may want to take longer. Mm-hmm. You may want to only take 15 minutes on the 9 focus areas, but you want to take 3 hours on strategic planning and mobility.
Okay, so we have the agenda posted already with all the topics that we're going to be discussing.
Correct.
So ways to participate is stream and with grace, listen in. If there's anything listed on the agenda that you're interested in, to write us all of our emails are online if you have anything you want to contribute to that. And then also another suggestion I had was to do like a recap from each agenda item if the stream
Sure.
is wonky, so we can do like a little video recap, highlights of things we talked about, priorities discussed, just a little.
Not a video recap, but it'll be a minute recap, just like the minutes that we do. And very similar to a council meeting, when somebody has a comment on an agenda item and they're not able to be here, they submit their comment, either written or even on the Facebook comments that they submit. We don't ever respond to citizen comments. In as much as possible to give a good synopsis about what we're going to do, absolutely. Because the council's going to want to know after 2 days, what did we decide and what are we working on? And those, there is a specific work plan and plan of action item on the agenda.
Okay, so, yeah, a more robust form of minutes would be appreciated for each agenda item. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Foster. All right, being that no one else has anything else to say, thank you, City Manager, for your report. We're going to move on to item 6D, proclamation recognizing the month of July as National Park and Recreation Month in the City of Bastrop. Hello, Ms. Moore.
I'm super excited. This July will be the 40th anniversary. I'm going to read some things because I think it's super important and I don't want to forget. The month of July is Park and Recreation Month. It's to recognize the vital role that parks, trails, open spaces, and recreation programs play in building healthy, connected, and resilient communities. And I think that's what we have here. We are so blessed, so incredibly blessed here and I get to have all the fun working with these groups. But they're here in Bastrop, the things that go on don't happen in our parks just by our 8-member crew or our 3-member crew at the rec center. It happens because of all of the organization and partnerships that we're able to create and work in here in town. So I have to acknowledge that there are a multitude of people that make our community beautiful. And I tried to do that in the proclamation, and I appreciate you reading that for us and recognize that. I would like if your organization is mentioned and you are a volunteer, please stand up and be recognized. Because I want the world to know all the good things that these folks are doing.
Okay, thank you. All right, whereas parks and recreation programs are essential to health and the well-being of communities and individuals, and they enhance the quality of life in cities across the country, including here in Bastrop. And whereas the City of Bastrop is committed to maintaining beautiful, safe, and accessible parks and providing diverse recreational opportunities that foster community engagement, physical activity, and social connection. And whereas the dedicated staff of the City of Bastrop work tirelessly to care for our parks, trails, and recreational facilities, ensuring that residents of all ages can enjoy the benefits of outdoor spaces year-round. And whereas the committed volunteers of the Park and Recreation Board generously contribute the time, talents, and passion through monthly meetings and community events striving to enhance and sustain vibrant and inclusive parks and recreation system. Whereas the City of Bastrop is proud to collaborate with the wide range of local volunteer organizations whose time, energy, and passion enhance the experience of our parks and green spaces, including Bastrop County Master Gardeners for their work in establishing and maintaining the community garden at Bob Bryant Park and for leading the plant identification project to educate visitors about native plant species. Lost Pines chapter of the Texas Master Naturalists for the development and maintenance of the raised garden beds at City Hall, the pollinator prairie, and bird blinds in local parks, supporting wildlife habitat and public education. Bastrop County Audubon Society for installing and maintaining Purple Martin houses, which promote the conservation of native bird species. Boy Scouts for building and installing birdhouses, creating trail markers, and contributing additional amenities throughout the park system. Bastrop County Rotary Club for their contributions to birdhouse installations supporting environmental enrichment and habitat expansion. Bastrop High School Pals and community volunteers for participating in trash pickup days, painting projects, and a public mural project, helping to beautify and maintain park spaces. Whereas these partners demonstrate the power of community in sustaining and enriching our parks, making them places of pride and inclusion for all. Whereas the National Recreation and Park Association has designated the month of July as Park and Recreation Month since 1985, and 2025 marks the 40th anniversary of this national celebration. And Recreation Month. underscoring the vital role of parks and recreation in enhancing the quality of life. Now, therefore, I, Ishmael Harris, Mayor of Bastrop, the City of Bastrop, Texas, do hereby proclaim July 2025 as National Park and Recreation Month. A witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the City of Bastrop, Texas, to be affixed this 24th day of June 2025. Thank you, everyone, for everything you do to help our parks. I think they all deserve a round of applause.
Colin takes a picture, and I want all those folks in this picture because people need to feel this. So, all of you up here.
Following you, sweetheart. Let's go this way.
Thank you.
Council, thank you very much for letting us take the time to appreciate all these awesome people.
Again, thank you all who've been involved in our parks and recreation and wildlife in Bastrop. All right, we don't have any workshops or briefings, so we're on to staff report. We're going to receive a presentation on the unaudited monthly financial report for the period ending in May 2025. Ms. Laura.
Full house. I want to clear out a little bit.
No worries.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. As always, I'm happy to pull out any slide that y'all would like to discuss directly. Otherwise, here's a high overview of May's financials. All funds are in positive bottom line with revenues exceeding the forecast by 11% and expenditures under forecast by 27%. Sales tax is less than forecast by a negative 3.2%, which equates to approximately $188K in the general fund. I am happy to report that property tax proceeds are exceeding forecast by 3.67% or 200K, so that does help offset the deficit from the sales tax. Impact fee revenues continue to remain above forecast for the fourth consecutive month, with revenues exceeding the forecast by 34.8%. Wastewater revenue is exceeding their forecast by 5.3%, which is contributing to an additional $313K. BP&L revenues are exceeding forecast by 4.71%. If you recall, that over the winter, they have been running very close or a little under forecast, so we're happy to see that number increase. Hot proceeds are exceeding their forecast by 16.5%, or approximately $400K. Development services also are exceeding their forecast, which mostly contributes from their April proceeds from the BISD permit as well as the Burleson Crossing. I do want to, I'm getting a little jump happy. I do want to jump ahead to one item on the revenue reporting. I apologize if this information was not included in your packets because we received it after publication. But I did want to talk about the red item up here on the Hunter's Crossing PID. The Hunter Crossing PID is under forecast by approximately 10%. We did reach out to P3 for clarification. Sarah with P3 did inform us that 7 remaining delinquent single-family properties and 3 remaining single-family properties are making quarterly payments, which is contributing to that under forecast. They did inform us that no multifamily or commercials are currently delinquent. That information is as of June. In regards to expenditures, general fund expenditures are running 97.7% to forecast. Water, wastewater is running 96.8% to forecast. Electric is 4% under their forecast, so that does help contribute to them having a positive bottom line, while hot funds are 97.5% to forecast, with development services about 95.8% to forecast. So all funds, with the exception of the Hunter's Crossing PIDs, have a positive revenue, and everybody is under on their expenses right now. Any questions? I feel like I just threw a lot of numbers out at y'all real fast. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you. All right.
Thank you.
On to citizens' comments. So, the first one we have up is Heather Green.
Hello, Heather Green, 2007 Pecan Street. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Thank you for taking the time tonight to discuss the legal concerns surrounding the proposed development at North End Prairie. And now that you've had that discussion, I want to take a moment on behalf of the neighbors most directly impacted to remind you of one simple thing. We are still united in our opposition. That has not changed, and it will not change. This isn't about being anti-growth. This is about stopping a development that is fundamentally wrong for the land and harmful to the people who already live here. No amount of tweaking or rebranding makes an unsafe access point safer, makes a flood zone developable, or makes a bad idea a good one. To the developers, if you are listening, we are not confused, divided, or open to compromise. We are organized, informed, and resolute. And to this council, thank you for continuing to show that you hear us and that our voices matter, more than outside interests. We hope and expect that you will continue to stand with your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, up next, we have Cecilia Cerna. You have several citizen comments that you have signed up for, or items on here. So for the sake of time, we won't go through the whole 3 minutes of each, but I will give you 5 minutes for you to get all of those in, if that'll work for you. Thank you. Can we set a 5-minute timer for her, please? Yeah, okay, well, we'll wing it after the 3. Thank you, Colin.
Hopefully I can do it all quick. Cecilia Cerna, 1104 Hill Street. Got a couple I was up till midnight going through these just for my edification. And I had a question, well, and I know you can't answer questions, but just something I wanted to bring up. Now, hopefully this will come up in the minutes in the next council meetings. But as far as open government, which I'm still learning about, It says on 4A in executive session, you are to seek counsel regarding Visit Bastrop, and I'm just wondering if that's going to be on minutes in the future, as far as a little more specificity on what you're seeking, whether it's budget or ideas or whatnot. Then on item 4E, it's kind of the same thing. Closed session seeking advice to discuss the proposed development. And I was also wanting to get some more specificity on that. Like, are we talking about, is this going to go forward, or is it budget, or what issues are being involved? Just trying to get a little bit more specifics on that in relation to transparency and open government. Like I said, it's for my edification, and from what I understand, I should be able to read this and know, kind of like 4BC, those make sense to me, but 4E, I don't know what is being discussed. 4C, I'm all for it, that's great, I'm excited, Old Iron Bridge. The only thing I want to bring up for that is if we could please look into doing a light study and seeing what the candlefoot should be in order to maintain this. We want to make sure that we're keep up with the best practices for being a bird city. I'm coming, okay. And the retreat, yes, it's coming from what your training budget is, which I believe was $2,500, if I remember, from one of the previous meetings. So assuming only 7 people go, that comes out to be about $1,675 per person, which leaves an $824 left for your training. We still have to go through December, so I think at some point, some of you are going to be lacking funds for training. Or if you just divide, there's less people going, and you look at the 11,000 and you divide that by your 2,500, that means only 4.69 people can go. So I have an issue with money being, our tax dollars being spent for somewhere in out of state. I understand it's a sister city, ribbon cutting, which is fine, but then come back here, let's spend the money locally. I'm sure some of our businesses would have loved to have gotten that money. I have issue with hot tax being paid in another city when, again, that can be taken advantage of here. 10B, Park, kudos, great, I'm excited. I know a lot of people who go there. I'll go there. My little dog likes the big dog side. And then also, I just had a question on 10D, which hopefully will be in the next minutes, on the 9.7 million that was under budget. And I believe further down, and I'm sorry, I don't exactly remember, but from what I was reading last night, it said that that remaining amount that was saved, which is awesome, is going to go to fund park and quality of life items. And I'm just wondering what quality of life items are, if there's a place where I can go and read that and figure out what that exactly means. And on 10H, the June 10th meetings, I couldn't find minutes for those regarding 4B, contractual agreements and ballot initiatives. Again, I don't know what that means. That's not specific. Like, what contracts are we talking about, for whom or for where? And ballot initiatives, is that something coming up in the next elections or next charter amendments? I'd like to know more specific what it is that you're talking about there, and I know it was in closed session, so I don't know how that proceeds after that as far as minutes, but there are definitely no minutes that I could find for June 10th. I saw the June 5th, but not the 10th. That's it. I've
All right.
the 5 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Pamela Veer. She left the meeting, but she's going to speak in support of agenda item, where is it at? It's just, yeah. Yeah, she didn't have the agenda item, so thank you. All right, that is it for citizens' comments.
Mayor, you had the online comment?
I didn't receive any I didn't see, oh, the one, yes, I do. I'm sorry. Thank you. We do have an online comment from Carol Spencer, and she is in opposition of the retreat agenda item. It's not an item, she's just in opposition of the retreat. All right. Now on to the consent agenda. The following may be acted upon in one motion. A city council member or a citizen may request items to be removed from the consent agenda for individual consideration. Does anyone have anything they would like to have?
10B, please.
Is that B or D?
B is in burro. B de vaca, B de burro.
Glad I didn't say it, I'd be crucified.
Okay, is there anything else? Okay, so we will move to approve. Okay. Item 10A, consider an act on the second reading of ordinance number 2025-4, amending Chapter 1, Article 1.10, Park Rules of the Bastrop Code of Ordinances to reflect various updates to language, permit requirements, and related process as attached in Exhibit A. And 10C, consider an act on the second reading of ordinance 2025-53, amending the budget for the fiscal year 2025 in accordance with existing statutory requirements, appropriating the various amounts herein as attached in Exhibit A.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Let the record say it was a unanimous decision. Okay. Now, 10B. All right, consider an act on the first reading of ordinance number 2025-57, establishing 1.19 acres located at 101 Grady Tuck Lane, Bastrop, Texas, otherwise known as the Bark Park, and designated parkland, and move to include on the July 8th, 2025 consent agenda for a second reading. Do you have anything?
Yes, would you mind giving a brief description of this, just because it's so exciting? I wanted to call it, I wanted it to have a little airtime, and then I
Okay.
had a comment about it as well.
So for the last 16 years, I have 14 in the staff report, but it has been 16 years. The city and our citizens have been using that piece of property as a dog park. It is a highly used property, but it's never been designated as designated parkland. So what this does is it creates a park there where if anything changes, it has to go to the voters to give permission to do something besides have a park there. It's pretty cool. If you haven't been to the Bark Park, you'll notice that, well, if you haven't been there, you won't see what's happening. What's happening is community. Most of the things, the amenities that have been down there have been donated by residents and the folks that actually use the facility. All of the fencing was paid for by donations. The benches were paid by donations. It's really a supported, inner-supported community there. So to make it a designated park gives us the opportunity to do a little more there.
Thank you. Is it okay, Mayor?
All right, is that all you needed, Councilmember Fossler?
Yeah, I have some comments.
Okay.
Thanks. So yes, for 16 years, the park has thrived through the dedication of volunteers who've played a vital role in maintaining the amenities, like it says in the staff report. And you can't think of the Bark Park without thinking of Jane Travis. She was one of those vital volunteers who got it started and kept it going. I've been interviewing dog park folks for a while, and they've been lovely things to say about her. She was always the one buying new chairs for the folks to sit out there. She donated money for the benches. She organized all the donations for the fences. And beyond just the Bark Park, she was a huge help to some of the homeless people who needed assistance navigating their way through Bastrop, and they always seem to end up at the Bark Park. We get lots of people passing through town there, and she always helps them and she used to help them and help them connect with resources. And she also helped many dog owners with personal situations, and she never shared what she did, but we always had to find a way, had a way of figuring out how all the ways she helped the different people. And as well, she lived in Bastrop over 50 years. She taught high school education for 30 years. She taught English, did educational programs for inmates, and basically helped all kinds of people, whether she met them in the classroom, during community outreach with Calvary, at the Bastrop Opera House, the Bastrop Advertiser, at the dog park. And she was active in many circles, and many of those people who were touched by her life would actually like to make donations in her name to the dog park, and her daughter is organizing all those donations, so you'll be hearing about that. And with this sentiment, I would like to move to approve this ordinance and also add that the Bark Park be named after Jane Travis.
Okay, Councilmember Meyer needs to make a comment.
I do, and I want to talk about the park, but let me just also mention that Jane Wright Travis was not only my high school teacher for journalism and English, I believe Councilmember Lowe also. How about Mayor Harris, you too? So we can attest to how wonderful Jane Travis was. But going back to the park, this is a big deal because this protects that land now. This is parkland. And we've waited 16 years for this, right? And finally, thank goodness, at our Parks Board meeting, we said, hey, we got to do something about this. So this is a step, as Terry has said, this is one of our first steps, but we want to make that a great park over there. We've got some great ideas. I know the Park Board we have a great Park Board, by the way. Thank you so much. But this is just the beginning. So thank everybody on the Parks Board. Thank you, Terry, and it's exciting.
Thank you, Councilmember Meyer. Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, okay, you were lit up. All right. Do we have anything else? No?
I'm going to look to Stan. I don't know that the renaming can go on this agenda item, but I'm happy to bring it back at the next agenda item because it wasn't noticed as such.
Right.
And to reiterate the transparency words, I'm sure we're going to get 25 other nominations for names. So.
All right, so.
But with that also, I would like to bring back a proposal within the Parks and Rec budget because the things out there are getting a little tired and we do have some awesome improvements that are coming to the parks. And I'm actually online right now and I don't think it would take but about $25,000 to make some pretty doggone awesome improvements in there.
Nice.
I didn't mean that, but now I get it. I'm not that cool. I'm not that smooth.
So, Mayor, with that being said, could I make a motion to approve 10B as it reads today?
Yes, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
You could say and direct staff to bring back.
And
Would you like to amend that motion?
And direct staff to bring back various research into the naming of the park.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimous.
I think we can put a survey out pretty quickly. Terry will work with Colin.
All right, So we're up to, for items for individual consideration, we have agenda item 11A. Councilmember Plunkett is going to recuse himself. Agenda item A, consider an act on the first reading of ordinance number 2025-56 of the City of Bastrop, Texas, authorizing a one-time 50% fee reduction for the renewal of 2025 City of Bastrop alcohol permits. Mr. Secretary.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your time tonight to speak with you. I just want to provide a quick update and some clarification on how we plan to move forward with coming into compliance with our local alcohol permitting process. So as some of you may know, when a business wants to sell, serve, or distill alcohol, they're required to get a license from TABC. Part of that licensing process is to obtain a city permit also. Excuse me, that permit is renewed annually per ordinance 2017-28. So we wanted to go back and look at that and make sure we were in compliance. So in the past, enforcement of the city permit has not been as consistent as it should have been, which has understandably led to some confusion with business owners. So to address that and to be fair to our business community, I want to take a proactive, supportive approach moving forward. After the passing of this ordinance, if it is to be, we'll begin notifying businesses by letter to explain the process for obtaining the city permit, to guide them through that process, to help them come into compliance with TABC requirements and city ordinances. Our goal is to make people aware, not to penalize, but to educate and support our businesses. Part of the ordinance would be to offer a 60-day grace period to the businesses and a 50% fee reduction for 2025 permitting fees. They would go back to full fees in 2026. It is important to note that these fees are nominal. The majority of them are way under $100 per year. It's not going to be a huge hit to businesses, is the hope. The focus is to be transparent, to be fair, and make the transition as smooth as possible for our local businesses. So I thank you again for your time and leadership, and I will be willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Yeah, so one of the questions I had was, what is the fee? And you said it was nominal, like $100 or less.
The fee is dependent on the permit type. So for instance, a lot of businesses in the city have a BG permit, which is a beer and wine permit. That fee is $37.50. The most expensive permit would be a mixed beverage permit, and that's $375.
Okay, and so the 50% reduction, you said it also has a 60-day grace period. It's to incentivize people to, because I guess I was thinking this was like $10,000, so we're going to offer them a 50% discount. This doesn't seem like that big of a burden, so I'm trying
we
to...
want to be fair to businesses because we have not been consistent. Prior staff has not stayed on top of this. And again, it is part of having a GABC permit to be compliant. So we want to be fair again to these businesses. And depending on expiration dates, because they could change based on the business. Some businesses don't expire to the end of the year, and some expire in the beginning of this year. And so we want to be fair across the board.
So the 60-day grace period, we're basically saying that upon passage that we would give them 60 days to pay a 50% fee, or if it goes beyond the 60 days, they'd pay a 100% fee. Is that?
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay. And then hypothetically, if someone ignored it or told you where to stick it and said, I'm not paying your fee, what happens then?
Well, the city's ordinance follows GABC's law, which is state law. It is a fine anywhere between $10 to $200. In extreme circumstances, they could revoke the permit and not issue another one.
Got it. Okay.
Councilmember Lowe.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to get some history on it, what were the reasons or challenges that the monitoring was off? Was it lack of staff? Was it like unclear procedures? What, if best you know, I mean, just trying to,
Right.
you know, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, so.
Sure, sure. Just from looking at it, it seems like prior staff did not stay on top of it, did not send out invoices, was not making businesses aware of these fees. So I believe they've issued 4 permits last year, and we have around 68 businesses. So there was just no consistency with contacting the businesses and making them understand the process.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Sorry, me again. What would you say the purpose is of this item? I'm sorry, not this item for the 50%, but the actual license or whatever this thing is that the permit, yeah. So what is the purpose of the permit?
The purpose of the permit is to basically, when they get a TABC permit and they go through the state, then they go through the county, and they go through the city, and we're saying it is within the legal limit or within our laws to serve alcohol. So if something comes up with the business and TABC gets involved, one of the things they're going to look for is, were you licensed in this city to sell alcohol? If they were not, then it could be severe for them.
So does TABC require us to do this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
State law,
It is state
regulation
law.
and revenue, the 2 Rs.
Yeah. Well, I was just kind of wondering is this something that we need to have? I mean, could we just get rid of it altogether was kind of the nature of what I was thinking. Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, sir, it's state law.
Got it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, Councilmember Fosler.
Thanks. I have 2 questions, please. So this was likely to come as a surprise to some people. Even though
Yes.
they may know about it, it still will surprise them. Okay. And are we asking them, it's probably in here, but I couldn't find it, to get current with as far back, all their back payments as well?
No, ma'am.
Starting fresh with 2025?
Yes, ma'am.
They're one time, okay. Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Surprise, y'all, sorry, thanks.
And again, we will work with the businesses to make sure it's a smooth transition.
All right, someone ready to make a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Call out.
Who's that? All right. No, I knew it was you. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Passes unanimous. Can you please let Councilmember Plunk get back in? Thank you. All right. Item 11B, consider an act on resolution number R 2025-106, approving the Bastrop Public Library public room policy, which is attached in Exhibit A. Hello, Ms. Bonnie. How are you?
Hello. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Here I am again. Someday, soon, we'll have all the policies updated, and then you won't see them anymore. It'll be very sad. Then you just have to come visit me. Yeah, you have to come visit me. Ooh, that is really small. I did not anticipate it to be that small. So sorry. So we are revising our public room policy, formerly known as the meeting room policy. It was last, oh, thanks, Colin. It was last updated in 2015. And so we are updating this policy. We are reorganizing it for clarity, conciseness, readability, and we are removing outdated details. We have expanded some definitions, we've made some clear guidelines, and we are prioritizing use that is informational, educational, or cultural. In your packet, once again, you got so much stuff. So you got the draft policy, which has been revised. Then you got the pretty one with all the green coloring to show you what we took from the 2015 policy. And then you also got the 2015 policy. This draft policy that you have received represents almost, well, over a year of work that we have been doing and refining and making sure that this new policy really works for how we use our room, how the public uses the room, and we really wanted it to align with what we do at the library. So, next slide. Whoop. Thank you. Oh, I went too far. Okay. So this is a really very quick comparison chart of some of the things that we changed. In the 2015 policy, it addressed only organizations, and we know that more than 501c3 organizations use our room. So we have added some definitions about community groups and library partners, and that was part of the policy. The definition is in there. We have done that because we recognize that you don't have to be a 501c3 to build community, and we have a lot of groups that are not 501c3 that use the meeting room. The next big change is how much we are going to charge. So in the old policy, it was $100 an hour for the Presley Meeting Room if you were a for-profit organization, and $50 an hour if you were in the Maynard Room. And we also charged a $100 deposit. So the change will be that we will no longer take deposits, and we are changing the fee to $50 for the first 2 hours and $20 for each additional hour in the Presley Room, $25 for the first 2 hours, and $10 for each additional hour after that in the Maynard Room. I know that that is actually a reduction in fee, but we didn't want to make this a hindrance. We just wanted it to make it so that if you do have a for-profit entity that is using our room, that you have to pay for it. Because if you go anywhere else in the city, you're going to pay dearly to use that space. And we would like our spaces to be available for our community partners. So that is why we are doing that. The other thing is not taking any more deposits. Right now, we hold checks for a really long time. We do not take deposits with credit cards because that would actually charge their card. We're not going to do that. So it eliminates us holding on to that cash in our safe at the library. We have shortened the reserve lead time, so you can only reserve up to 90 days in advance, whereas before it was 6 months. This keeps the room available for library programming. There was no max usage specified, and now we are saying you can only use it for 3 hours at a time, once a month, and our library partners can use it twice a month. This sets a standard, and it doesn't allow groups to monopolize the room. Then sales and fees. It was not explicitly addressed, but we are not going to allow that. State law prohibits the library from charging for any programming that we provide, since we do take tax revenue. And so we would like that to happen for all programming. I do not want people to come to a program and get charged, and then they like, well, I went to the library and they charged for that program, when it's not our program. So if nobody's charging, it doesn't really matter. If you're at the library, you're not going to charge to have a program. Promotional materials, this is kind of a big deal. That was not in the 2015 policy at all, but in this one we are saying they cannot imply library endorsement, and they cannot use our logo without permission. Let's see, noise was never addressed. This goes back to our policy for our user responsibility and conduct policy. It says that if you are hindering the use of the library for another person, then we're going to tell you to stop. So noise falls under that policy too. And then forms, we have lots of new forms. We have a new reservation form, but then also there is an exception form. Right now, we do allow exceptions in the meeting room. We do let people use it more than once a month. But it's very random. And so by using an exception form, we set a standard so that everyone follows the same rules, so that we have a record of who is getting an exception. And no one can say, well, you let so-and-so do thus and such, and say, fill out the form, because they did the same thing. So those are the big changes that we had. I am open for questions.
Councilmember Meyer.
Thank you. Not really a question. I just want to thank you and everyone at the library so much, because, I mean, a year's worth of work from 2015 is is so much. So Bonnie, I just want to thank you so much. And the library is amazing. So everyone, please, if you haven't been to the library lately, go to the library. You'd be amazed at what I could spend all day at the library every day, but you'd get tired of me, so I won't do that. But thank you, Bonnie. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to give kudos to Amy Cuvalier. She did the majority of the work on this policy. So.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
So I have a question, and this, Stan, this is going to end up becoming a question for you. We start off at the very top. Purpose says this policy defines the time, place, and manner of use of the public rooms. And time, place, and manner is like secret legal jargon that indicates the ways that you can abridge someone's First Amendment rights, in effect, is that you can set rules for time, place, and manner, but not content, right? But then on the public meeting room guidelines, it says rooms are only available for organizational meetings and community gatherings and may not be used for social purposes, including but not limited to birthday parties, reunions, showers, religious services, etc. And so I'm trying to parse that, and I see content restriction in it. But I also see in it that you're trying to keep the rooms available for organizations and community gatherings, and less of a personal thing, right? And that I can support, but the fact that it starts calling out specific content items that you can't have in the room seems to go against that thing at the beginning on time, place, and manner. And so I think my question for you is, what is the heart of what you're trying to say in that item? And certainly I think it has to do with the organizational and community gatherings. The sentence starts with that.
So it's under the principles and objective that our meeting rooms are for general informational, educational, cultural, and civic needs. This maybe is not what you're asking, but if we opened our room up for birthday parties and bridal showers and all those kind of things, we would never get to use the room for anything else.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
Right.
And so
I see that right there. I see as a perfectly legitimate restriction, and it goes towards the organizational meetings and community gatherings. But I'm just, I don't know, trying to. Well, yeah. So, Stan, I think the question goes to you in the area of, the legal side of, what a city is allowed to do in a policy. And so, in terms of restricting that we cannot have birthday parties, reunion showers, or religious services in this library room that's otherwise open to the public, is that allowable?
So, Stan Springerly, City Attorney, this is a limited public forum. So you're creating a public forum, and then you're promoting educational and social things that are relevant to the mission of the library. And because it's a limited public forum, it's a lot like the citizen comment section for city council. And so the purpose is to address things that are relevant to public affairs, to the city. It's not so much about your kid's birthday party, although, social events can certainly be mentioned. But by promoting the educational and putting those, because they fall within the realm of the mission of the library, that falls within a limited public forum. So that is acceptable, the way the policy is drafted.
Okay. If he's okay, I'm okay.
Okay.
All right. You have anything else? All right.
Motion
Anyone
to
want to make a motion?
Second.
All right, you have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimous. Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much, council.
Yes, ma'am. All right. On to item 11C, consider an act on resolution number R 2025-32, approving a construction contract with Emerson Construction Company, Inc. for a not to exceed amount of $2,405,900 $79.00 for the rehab of wastewater treatment plants number 1 and 2.
Thank
Mr.
you, Mayor.
Hancock, how you doing, sir?
Good, good. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Council. Thank you for having us. I didn't put a presentation together because I started it and the pictures of the plant was too embarrassing that I didn't want to show them, and that's the truth. It's well long overdue to rehab these plants. Y'all have heard this spiel several times. We're just losing such capacity. So what we did go out for bids, and we had received 2 bids on May 28th, or maybe, yeah, May 28th. And both bids came in pretty reasonable. The low bid is the one we're asking for is Emerson. Both of them had lots of experience, but Emerson had more experience in this type of project that they showed, and being low bid. And we did have a panel of 5 that evaluated it, and that's how we come up with the recommendation of that. It's not going to complete with this whole project, will not be full completion of full rehab of both plants. We will get the big plant fully done, and then we'll get the small plant down to where it'll be manageable for us because we can do it over some time. Meaning that our flows over on this side is 750,000 to 800,000 right now, and the big plant can carry 1 million gallons. So we'll have a little bit of time to work on the other 360,000. The funding of this is from the American Rescue Plan Act. That's going to cover $2,292,380, with the remaining $112,699 be funded from the wastewater CIP. We do have Johnny here with us. If y'all have any questions on this project, he's the one that did everything, put it all together for us.
Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, so go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, so I have a question and a concern about the liquidated damages item in here. It's set at $100 a day for being late on the delivery of the project, and that feels useless to me. I think something that might be appropriate is taking the entire price of the entire project, which is $2.4 million, dividing it up over 2 years, and then setting that as the daily rate for being late. Meaning if you are 2 years late when it's done, then you get nothing. If you're a year late, then you get 50% of the money. If you are, and that would be $3,295 a day.
We absolutely can change it. Go ahead, you can tell him why it was set that way.
Yes, Councilman. So as Curtis mentioned earlier, this project is mostly funded through the American Reserve Plan Act. So the contract document that you see is basically their template, the grant program's template. And that $100 is really just a placeholder. And the document that you see is actually the final draft. That's not the executed contract. It's the final draft for your review and consideration prior to actually executing with the contractor. So I want to make that comment. So that is a placeholder as part of their standard template. And so this is the perfect opportunity to discuss that and get input from the council as to direction to amend that number.
Right.
And so we are all ears at this point in time, and we just need a directive from council to that effect. But I'd also like to offer one more comment in that the punitive effect of liquidated damages go beyond just the dollar amounts. Typically, when any of these contractors fails to execute a contract and gets assessed liquidated damages, it affects their bonding capacity. So not only do they get hit financially as far as money is being withheld from their contract, it impedes their ability to get more contracts with other government entities. So that is there's 2 components to liquidated damages. I just wanted to share that with you this evening.
Madam City Manager, I took the price, divided it by 365, and it was like, $6,500, and I was like, maybe that's high. And then I divided it by 2 and kind of came to a number so that it would be over 2 years. And I just made that up sitting here. So what do you think?
I can't tell you what I think for real, because, number one, when the bid documents were sent out, you know, when we had a bid conversation, there's always a risk on the part of the contractor, and that's a variety of risk. I mean, it can go anything from tariffs to immigration and everything in between. And so when the liquidated damages are too punitive, you're not gonna have anybody bid. And so while I think $100 is low, I think the other end is very high. Extraordinarily high, and I'm not sure that we would get anybody on the line for that. Now, where that number is, soft spot, I think it bears a good conversation with the bidder on what that is. I mean, obviously, I don't want them to say $2 is sufficient, because we do need to protect the residents, but this is a point of negotiation. We didn't have that conversation with them prior to tonight.
Oh, we didn't.
And so the first thing that they're designing is a shut-off valve, in effect, so that they can turn off the flows to both plants. So for the duration of time, which is 365 days that the plants are offline, where's that flow going?
It goes to the wastewater treatment plant 3 on the west side.
Okay.
We're using the old force main that Central used to. We just reversing it, making a tie-in over there and using it to go back that way.
Okay.
And I just want to highlight something that Curtis said, because I don't think Curtis gets enough credit for Curtis, because we know Curtis as the champion of, you know, whatever, what do you call it?
Cornhole.
Cornhole. But this city was about to embark on a $7.5 million plus project, and we spent a lot of money on right-of-way acquisition for what was called a transfer lift station project. We embarked on a project, we didn't have the right-of-way, we didn't have the design, we spent a lot of money. What he just said to you today, we're gonna reverse the flows, conversation he, Johnny, and the staff have had, saved the city $7.5 million plus. Could have saved us a lot more millions that we spent on acquisition, and so I don't think he gets enough credit for that. But back to your question. This truly is an opportunity for us to use ARPA money to gain ourselves more time and to buy ourselves some equity on what is our east side. It's limited in growth because of the toad, because of the habitat that's there, but that doesn't mean we don't need it. That doesn't mean for a period of time, maybe some things in Pine Forest 6 come online. It gives us our opportunity to hedge some time. So back to your, is $100 enough? I don't know, but we have to go back to the contractor.
So what if we, as part of our motion, gave you the power to negotiate that item?
I would appreciate that.
Okay.
If I may comment on that legally as well, if the liquidated damages are stated too punitive, the courts may not enforce it. So you can't go too high, you can't go too low. You got to hit that Goldilocks zone. Typically, with multi-million-dollar contracts of that nature, I usually see $1,500 to $2,500 per day. So I'm just throwing that out there.
Thank you. Councilmember Plunkett.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, Curtis, maybe, is there a number that would be relevant, that would be like, what would the actual cost to the city be for those days? And that would be a place we could try to negotiate from as well. And there's any different ways you can look at it, but I think I'm happy with the language of, allowing you and the city manager to negotiate it.
Right. I mean, anytime it's delayed, of course, it's going to cost some money. It's going to have money because you're going to pull people into the inspection, and that's what you're going to lose. As far as going 2 years over, we can't go 2 years over because we won't have the room over on the west side. So, yeah, I mean, I see the point of putting something on there, but if we put too much and they back out, where are we then?
Right.
Because something has to be done. I mean, we thought this plant was going to be shut down, and it's not. So we have to make it right.
It has to be in a position to provide a sense of urgency, but not scare them off, right?
That's right.
Yeah, the other issue we're having with the current project that we're discussing, the water treatment plant, as well as the wastewater treatment plant number 3, with the attorneys that we're finding is we, the city, have to justify those liquidated damage costs, and we're having a super hard time justifying those costs to charge them for if it did go to litigation. One of the costs we're not allowed to incur is staff time. We can't charge them for staff time because that's on a normal basis we would have that cost. The other thing we're not is lost revenues. It's hard to justify lost revenues, so we're having a super hard time retaining liquidated damages. And so what you're going to find when I'm going to bring a change order for wastewater treatment plant number 3 here pretty soon. There's going to be very few liquidated damages that we're going to claim off of the wastewater treatment plant number 3 that's true 5 years overdue, because we don't have the ability to, because the state says the cities can't make money, so we're not able to make money. So that's what we're having a hard time justifying. Jerry, our attorney, wants to sit down with us and so that'll be a conversation we need to have, is what can we charge, what are we allowed to do, and what does the attorney feel like we can back up? That's a big conversation right now.
Right, and one of the things to consider is during these rehabs, something might go wrong with the equipment or a bad shipment of product that comes in that will delay their job, right? So those things happen. Like we've dealt with a thing of a park taking 6 months, right, to come in, and those delays are real. So we do have to look at how we're going to assess any kind of taxation or the reasons as to why we're going to do that before we get to moving forward and saying we're going to set this number.
Yeah, I think there's some real conversations around that with the attorneys to say what can and we can't do, and staying within the law, the boundaries of what we're allowed to do.
I do have a question, though, as far as the warranties and work that's going to be provided. I know they have a timeline. Jobs can, when things do go south or those days start shortening, they want to put a crunch on things, and so sometimes quality kind of takes a hit. But I want to make sure that we, I notice it says, 1-year warranty. If there's anywhere of extending, I know it's a minimum, but can we look at maybe extending whatever warranties or things to hold them a little longer to their job responsibilities?
Well, I can be honest with you.
Go ahead, Kurt.
I mean, the plants are so old, they're not going to warranty much longer.
Right.
I mean, the metal is worn out. If y'all would like to take a look, come over and visit, it's in bad shape. The reason why they can't, because where they fix right next to it may break. And we're not doing no changes to the blowers or any of that. So, and you know as well as I do, we take that blower down, by the time we get it back up, that blower may not start up. So, I mean, it's just an old plant. It's 2 old plants. I mean, this bigger plant was the one bought from Austin for $1 in what, 88?
Yeah.
1988.
It was the Williamson Creek plant.
Yeah, and the reason why it's number 1 is because number 2 was online. When they got that one operated, they took the other one off, and they only used that plant for numerous years. So it was off for 10 years, so that's how come it became number 1, apparently. So, I mean, I'm lucky enough that I missed part of that, and I'm really lucky to get this end of it, I guess.
All right, thank you. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll move that we approve the contract with the stipulation that city manager and negotiate the liquidated damages section.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right, 11D, consider an act on resolution number R 2025-105, approving a construction contract with Advanced Rehabilitation Technology for the rehabilitation of 12 manholes in the Mauna Loa lift station. Mauna Loa lift station. There we go.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Yes, sir.
This is something we started last year, and we've been reviewing different products. Last year after we finished ours, this company came in and said, hey, our product's number one. And I said, well, how are you going to prove it? He goes, pick a manhole. And he did. And we watched it for a year. This project is, it is rehabilitation of manholes because it's very expensive to change them out. A standard manhole of 5 foot, 6 foot, you're looking at $10,000 easy. And these manholes are the older manholes. All of our manholes now that go in any project, they receive a coating. Not this kind of coating, but a different kind because it's not necessary. There will be 12 manholes, and of course, Mauna Loa lift station, which is very larger, and you'll see that it costs $33,000 of the total. So it was big. This is a manhole that they did. A manhole is concrete. It's set down, and where it says benches, benches is where you see the grooves, where it's cut out like the flow line. What people in our industry flow line, and up on the side is the benches to keep it directed to the right direction. Well, as you can see before, all that rocking that you're showing in the bottom, it shouldn't be. It should be a smooth, slick surface, but it's not. And that's from years of gases, and that's what gas does to it out of the sewer lines. And to help, instead of replacing it, we found the technology, so we're able to do some every year. And in our older section, yeah, they're going to be this way, and it's just because of neglect. And then I'm part of it too. We're brought the neglect on. It's hard to get money funding for everything. And you can see what it looks like after they did it. I did have some product up there for y'all to pass around to look at. It is pretty impressive. And this is what it is a little over a year of rehab, after rehab. And yeah, it's stained up a little bit, but you know, you can understand why. But it's held up. There's no cracks, no flaking. This product, I like it a lot because it moves. The ground in Bastrop moves a lot. A lot of products will crack, and then the gases get behind there, and now you're not doing any better. And this product is a little more flexible. This is an area map. We locate maps of the manholes year-round because we're constantly doing TV in our lines to see what lines need to be replaced. So as we're going through there, as part of helping the street department say, okay, the sewer line's good here, let's move this one up higher. Or if we do this project, we got to redo the sewer. And while we're doing that, we're cameraing and testing all manholes and documenting that so we know where everything is at. And this is a 12 location, and a little green square, that is Mauna Loa lift station. The lift station is 8 foot by 10 foot and 18 foot deep. So that's why it's going to cost so much more.
Are you finding yourselves having to reshape those?
The
inverts? The inverts at all?
Some.
Because I know how that gas can do and eat that concrete up.
Yeah, it really
makes
does.
it real brittle.
And you'll see on here, we included the inverts on all of them because, you know, some of these manholes have been inspected 3 years ago. So they changed from when they were inspected. We just knew it was time. So we told them to quote it, and we're going to do a case by case. So there's a lot of things that can come off here. If our Vector truck is working, we're going to use our Vector truck and save that money, and that won't be paid out to him. So this is the max amount that we're asking for is the $98,992, which had been budgeted, that y'all approved in the budget from last year, for this year. Any questions?
Councilmember Lowe.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I talked with you earlier about the locations. It was Mauna Loa, the wet well there, and then the 12 manholes. How were those locations chosen?
We grade them as we go through. When we're doing our yearly inspection in different areas, we put a grade to a manhole so that when we do start going back, we go to the lower grade. If it's a grade of 2, well, it's time to get done before we have to redo the whole manhole.
Yeah, just want to get some clarification on that. So
you bet.
All right, thank you. If no one else has anything, Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes unanimously. 11E, consider an act on resolution number R 2025-111 of the City Council of the City of Bastrop, Texas, approving the Bastrop Economic Development Corporation's expenditure for the, sorry, I was thinking some expenditure for the purchase or lease of the BEDC vehicle in an amount not to exceed $75,000, authorizing the city manager to execute all necessary documents and establishing an effective date.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi,
welcome.
Dory Kelly with the Bastrop EDC. So with all the miles we're putting in chasing down businesses, meeting partners, and giving tours, it's starting to feel like we need an official Bastrop business mobile. So think of it as a Batmobile, but for economic development, functionality, and efficiency. So we're really talking about the Bastrop mobile today. And I'm looking tonight for City Council to approve the Bastrop EDC to allow us to purchase a vehicle not to exceed $75,000. So the role of business retention expansions become increasingly mobile with frequent meetings in Austin, surrounding counties, and statewide. Regular in-person site visits, recruitment trips, and industry tours are core to how we do business and will only increase with the national and global marketing efforts we're focused on per our strategic plan. So a Bastrop EDC vehicle would allow us to host and transport site selectors, prospects, and visiting executives comfortably. A 7 to 8 passenger vehicle would allow us to reduce the need for multiple vehicles and present a unified professional front during visits. As an example today, we hosted lunch downtown, and we had potential prospects come in from Dallas, San Marcos, Austin, and Houston. That was 5 to 6 vehicles in the parking lot, and then when I took them to the site, we took 4 vehicles to the site. So it was very inefficient, to say the least. Part of another perk to getting the vehicle would be branding opportunity. The vehicle can be modestly branded to promote the Bastrop EDC during regional travel and at major events, during turning it into a rolling billboard. So on June 16th, the Bastrop EDC board approved staff to look into purchasing a vehicle not to exceed $75,000, and since then we have collected quotes that fit our needs from our local dealerships, as we have 3 here in Bastrop. We found one that is secondhand. We did find the inventory for secondhand vehicles that fit our needs a little bit lower than newer vehicles. And we did also, of course, find newer vehicles that are closer to that $75,000 range. So tonight we're here to ask your approval.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
Hello, Dory.
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem.
So I have 8 questions.
8?
8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not 9, huh?
No, I have 8.
Okay.
I may not ask them all. I'll start just by saying I'm actually a little bit concerned about spending $75,000 on this.
Sure.
And I guess I start from a position of not understanding the need or knowing how frequently that you'll use it or it will be used. It's not necessarily exclusively you. So really my first question, actually I'll talk about my first 2 questions are how will the vehicle be used and how frequently is A, and B is how often will the vehicle sit unused at City Hall?
Great question. So if we're to estimate the travel that I take on myself representing the BEDC, I'm in Austin anywhere between 1 to 3 times a week. Then when it comes to hosting people, I host people a minimum of once a week here in the city. So you can guarantee the vehicle would be used a minimum of 4 days a week, which I don't know what the average city vehicle use is if you're to look at it in those terms, but we do believe that there would be a need to use this vehicle.
In terms of justifying the use of any vehicle versus justifying the use of something that costs $75,000, you know, the 8-seater, how often do your BEDC trips involve more than, say, 4 people? And what I'm kind of contemplating is a solution where if we approved a lesser dollar amount for it, say a smaller vehicle, one that would hold maybe 4 people, that would take care of your 1 to 3 times a week in Austin, some of your hosting, but not all of your large groups, and then potentially like a rentals type situation for the large groups. Because the counter of buying one of those larger vehicles is they get, 7 miles to the gallon in terms of gas expenses, as opposed to something smaller, you might get 30. And so I'm just, because I don't understand all the metrics, I'm kind of, having to do this in public, but I'm concerned about spending $75,000 on it, but also that's a tremendous amount of depreciation and, moving a large vehicle through the air like that and gas cost that, and I don't know yet, but would it make sense to possibly buy a smaller vehicle that lets you do the things that you need to do most of the time and not purchase it for the exception case of needing to drive 8 or 9 people around? So then this leads to the questions of how often do the trips involve more than 4 people, and then how often does it need to move 7 to 9 people?
So I'll answer, and forgive me if I forget some of the questions. I'm going to try and remember everything that you asked. So I think
just
the original...
those questions right there at the end I was just kind of giving you the background, because I'm trying to be as positive as I can be on this, because mostly I'm gathering information, but I'm also stating that, I'm just like, wow, is this the right thing to do? And
I do want to be clear that the request for up to $75,000 didn't necessarily mean we would spend all $75,000. The Bastrop EDC does want to be fiscally responsible for our sales tax dollars, and I think we just wanted to avoid having to come back to the board and then also City Council if we saw that it was going to be something that was going to be larger than $50,000, for example. So just allowing us the flexibility and also to cover the taxes, title, registration, etc. I think that the demand is increasing for passengers of more than 4. Last week, I had 4 visitors come in from the Austin region, and we did rent a vehicle for the day, thanks to Toyota, who was able to get me a vehicle last minute. We rented a Toyota Highlander, and it was actually a great opportunity for us to also test the size of a vehicle like that. It was very similar to my own vehicle, which is a Nissan Pathfinder, so it was squishy in the back, and the 6'7" gentleman that we were hosting had to sit in the front, and it gets a little bit squishy with leg room and whatnot. So I would say that on a day-to-day, like for the Austin commutes, it is typically myself, maybe a couple staff members if it's a regional meeting or a speaking event. And then when it comes to more than that, we're seeing it increase, but I would say right now we only average a few of those a month. Did I answer all your questions?
Tim, if you would allow me, I'll do some quick math for you to get to a number where I think you'll be comfortable.
Okay.
So if she travels to Austin on average 3 days a week, and I'm gonna give it city limit to city limit line. I'm not even going city hall to city hall, and I'm saying that's an average of 34 miles one way. 34 miles times 2 is 68 miles times the 67-cent IRS return rate times 3 is about $137. We'll round it to 140 times 52 weeks a year. She's at $7,200 to $7,500 a year. That's only for the daily stuff. That's not including any extra rentals. That's not any of that. So if I multiply that by 5, which is an average note, or even 6, 72 months, you're in the 35 to 40 range.
By the way, you're answering my next question, so
Yes.
keep going.
Yes. So in the 40 range. Now add to that the rental of a vehicle once a month. Let's just say, I'll keep it minimal, and that's several $100s. So you can see where she's easily in the $50,000, $55,000 range of just that. That's not including the maintenance. It's not including any of those things. Ideally, it'd be wonderful to have a car that, administration here used to have a car, but we didn't have a fleet and facilities group, and so that car rotted out in the parking lot, and it's being used, I think, as an extra. I think Collins Group uses it. But the difficulty in Dory's job in the travel back and forth is the wear and tear that it takes on her own personal vehicle, which is a singular vehicle. and she is a parent of 2 young children, and so should something happen to her car, the onerous level of just bad things that happen when she's without a car for her and her children. So I get it, 75,000, and that was a sort of a swag number. If I needed to get the biggest vehicle, it looks like a Suburban and it looks like X. But if we do look at something like a Toyota or a Ford or any one of the other dealerships that are in Bastrop County, I think we could get comfortably in the $50,000 range.
Councilmember Meyer.
Thank you. So looking to the future, because your role, Dory, with BEDC is going to be involved in quite a few more things.
Yes, ma'am.
Coming up. And that's probably going to involve some, could be Michaela, could be, who knows, you know? So I think we need to look at this as not being so limited as just in one function, but there could be a lot of possibilities for multiple uses, right? Maybe.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
That's kind of what I want us to look at this as, something that will cover a lot of bases and not just a singular lane that we're trying to focus on just you. And I think it involves a lot more than what we're even thinking about. So that's kind of what I wanted to clarify. It's just not you taking people. It's going to involve maybe a lot of other things in the future that may come to fruition pretty soon. So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lowe.
Just piggybacking off that Councilmember Myers' statement, who would be authorized to use it? Would it be?
It would likely be BEDC staff and BEDC board members, and boss will tell you anyone else.
Could it be multiple uses, possibly?
It could. What we do internally is it's allocation based, and so if it's a vehicle that's going to be used, let's say 2 days a week for Main Street, then Main Street would pay 20%. So there's an allocation of cost that goes through that.
If I may. So I did see it on the BEDC meeting, just to hear, and I heard this portion of the conversation, and I had some time to think about it myself. A lot of newer vehicles are around in that price range. She is absolutely right in the fact that she's going to be hosting people. We don't know the size of the crowd or whatnot. We don't want to have to scramble for a vehicle. And we for sure don't want Dory to have to continue to drive her vehicle, right? And when we're bringing people in and we're hosting them or she's hosting them, we want them to be in a safe and secure ride, right? Something that's comfortable for whatever size of the group. And there's going to be situations where she might have to, these are my thoughts, where she's going to have to go on some rugged territory to look at some properties or some potential development. Well, you can't do that in a small car that's $30,000. They don't sell heavy-duty $30,000 vehicles. So those are just kind of my thoughts. It also gives us a good look for the BDC, as she said, with branding. And yes, I'm sure as things pick up with us here in Bastrop, I wouldn't be surprised if she's going to be involved and active and doing more things. That's just who she is. If y'all haven't seen her work, Dory gets it and makes it happen, right? So I believe she's going to help bring more things here for Bastrop that are beneficial. So with that, it's going to cause her to move around a whole lot more and potentially host larger groups. And so the BDC need that. To me, they need a vehicle as such. We do have a fleet department here with the city. They have vehicles to choose from. If it does come to a point in time to where they might need that vehicle, then that's one thing. But I do think that they need a designated vehicle to be able to take care of the business they need to help us out here in Bastrop without having to wait or delay things or postpone or however you want to look at it. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland.
I wasn't done with my questions.
6 out of the 8.
Yeah. So, Madam City Manager, I'm aware of a little bit of a firewall between us and the EDC, and that their money, their property, their possessions You know, for instance, we borrowed money from them and paid interest, right? So if EDC money is used to pay for this automobile, an argument could be made that they may not authorize the other city staff to use said vehicle. Is that right?
No, we'd enter into an agreement, and it's allocation-based. So
Okay.
again, BEDC pays us rent, they pay us overhead, they pay administration expenses, and all of that's via the agreement.
Right.
And so we could modify that and say we would also do cost allocation for.
Yeah, so part of my concern was thinking that it probably needed to be firewalled off, and only EDC could use it, and so then, well, how frequent is this asset going to sit in the parking lot depreciating? As you said another one did, for instance, right? And not wanting to just blow that money away over the course of several years on a depreciating asset that, you know, gets used a couple times a month, which obviously we're talking about more use than that, so I'm glad to hear that. But that, I didn't know that before walking in, so that's good. What do you think that you could do with a lesser amount, like 50,000 instead of 75?
I think we can accomplish. Dory has some bids. You're welcome to share those numbers if you'd like.
Well, there was something in the packet that it was like two vehicles, but one hadn't responded yet.
We did find one at Covert that came in right under 50,000, and it is a secondhand 2023 Chevrolet Suburban. It had 71,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
For a
And
23.
So that's what we come across, unfortunately, when we're looking at both the low inventory for a secondhand vehicle in this price range that also meets our needs. And so hence the original ask for the flexibility in case we could grab something smaller in the budget that you're recommending now.
What did the Toyota that you were driving the other day, what is that price range?
Let's look here. I didn't memorize all of these. I apologize. Approximately 50,000, but I do want to be very clear that a Highlander is just not going to work for our needs.
What were you driving?
A Toyota Highlander is what we rented, and it's a beautiful vehicle, but we do need captain seats in the middle because, again, the people that I host are twice my size, and it's times 5.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's a little squishy back there.
It's like the Nissan I used to drive.
Councilmember Meyer?
Thank you. So mine's just to clarify. So when I'm looking at this, Dory, the list of quotes, because I'm looking at the lowest number saying, hey, that number looks great. But what you're saying right now, that's for a Highlander, so we shouldn't even consider that, right? I need to eliminate that off my lowball list?
Just when we drove it, it simply
Just
wasn't
didn't
going
work.
to be
Yeah,
feasible.
we don't want to get anything that's not.
If we are
that
to get
defeats the
something
point. Yeah.
right, let's get it right the
Yep.
first time.
Yep.
Otherwise, there's
Absolutely.
the alternative options
Yeah.
like Mayor Pro
Then you're
Tem
wasting.
mentioned. Yes,
Exactly.
ma'am.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Mayor Pro Tem Kirkland?
I think I'm done with questions.
We will endeavor to be as close, under $50,000 right now. I used to drive an Armada that was captain seats, et cetera, et cetera. It looks like there's one for $56,000, and it has 5,000 miles on it. It's a 2024 version.
Nice. I want to be clear, it does need to be black or white for our branding as well. So we do get a little bit picky with the branding.
Come on, no, you're not going to get that
Can't
picky.
get red, girl.
No.
Can't get red.
You work in local government. We will not be that picky, or you'll be
All right.
walking. Take a choice.
All right.
One
Well.
can try.
How are we feeling, council? Anyone?
Sure.
Councilmember Fossler, we got a motion to approve. We have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? You? Okay, we have 4 yeas and 1 nay. No, I don't have to say the lone naysayer. That's for you and you only, John. All right. On the item 12.
Motion to adjourn.
We got a
Second.
motion and a second. All right. All in favor? No, I'm only kidding. Thank you, Bastrop. Y'all have a great night.